All right, we are live today. It is August 9th. It's 2 p.m. Eastern, and I'm a little solo right now, as you can see. I'm feeling kind of lonely here. Tom's running a little bit late, and so I figured it was it would be too ironic if the theme for today was consistency matters, and then we started late. So I'm going to go ahead and start, and Tom will join us as soon as he is able to. So, consistency with social. I want to say this before I get started into consistency. It's been really exciting. I've seen a lot more comments and data and information, and not just comments on my post, but people posting, commenting, talking about using social to build community, using social to build influence. I've noticed just the uptick in people that have either asked to be guests on my show or people that have been referred to me as guests on my show for the Friday tapings of the show, because there's more and more people that are just using social media consistently and really well to build their influence with a very specific purpose of, growing their business or selling more customers or earning more meetings or filling their pipeline. You kind of fill in the blank that's best for you. So as we talk about consistency today, if you're on joining us, bottom right corner, join the conversation by adding your comments. Love for you to participate. Add your comments, add your questions, disagree with me, whatever it may be. Would just love to have you participate and join the conversation. And here we go. Looks like Tom's joining us. Don't worry about it, Tom. Get yourself taken care of there. I just preferenced it, but here we go with being consistent. Welcome, Tom. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Nothing like being flustered and going from one thing to the next. I'm sure nobody else out there has ever had to do that in their lives.
I've got to stop these Zoom meetings that go right up to the hour, So it's just like we need it like when you were in school where you had 10 minutes to move from class to class.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, my Zoom calendar or my calendar allows me to do a 15-minute buffer or something like that. So, oh, Neela, thank you. Love the background. Yes, it is. I get to be in this beautiful outside place today, and actually really enjoying it. So, hey, Neela, thanks for joining us, and welcome, Brian. Glad you are joining us.
Hey, we got some great friends here today.
Yeah, Brian's a new friend of mine, but a longer term.
I've known Brian for a while, so if you need a really kick-ass website, he's your man.
There we go. Promotions for everybody. I love it. Well, let's use people's time wisely today on consistency. And I've been thinking about this a lot in the last few weeks. In fact, I did a video today that I put on TikTok and my Instagram Reels, and I shared it on Instagram, or I shared it on LinkedIn as well, talking about consistency. But I think here's the foundation of it. If we want to be top of mind with people, if we want to build some sort of rapport with them, we want to be known. You can throw all of these different kind of cliches that are powerful cliches that we talk about with sales. Be known, be liked, be trusted, be remembered, be top of mind, be a known, trusted advisor, any of those things. It takes consistency. And I think that inconsistency is way too often the norm when it comes to social media and building a social presence. And then people get to the end of it and they go, oh yeah, we tried it, it didn't work. Or they come up with the wonderful social selling sucks, it didn't work. That's why I think consistency is so important. Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, I think we've talked about this before, right? This is not a short-term project or something that you just do for a period of time and then you're done. It's a perpetual activity. And I don't know that I realized that when I started, my LinkedIn journey a few months ago. Really, it started my LinkedIn journey a few months ago. It's not that I didn't know, but I don't think I appreciated that this consistency and just the perpetuity of what you need to be doing. And what's really helped me is by realizing that it's what you're really doing by being consistent is you're providing hopefully continual help and continual value. And if you just are doing that all the time, then you don't get all caught up in the LinkedIn algorithm on, one day you have a million viewers and the next day you have zero, because that can happen with the algorithm. And you just look at, okay, am I consistently helping? Am I consistently adding value? It just makes it a lot easier and a lot more fun than trying to, worry about how many people are viewing that post on any given day or anything else that can go along sort of in the whole LinkedIn universe related to the algorithm. So yeah, I think consistency and a long-term viewpoint is absolutely essential as part of this whole strategy.
Yeah, I also think from a practical standpoint, you know me, I always go back to live events. I go to the offline world and compare it to the online world. And when I was getting started my career, even I mean throughout my career, going to networking events, it took consistency. Now, those events were usually like once a month, once a quarter, or some things were even once a year annual event type of things. But I know, like with the once a month events, if I missed a month, that was a big deal because I wouldn't be able to see him. So I didn't see him for 30 days, and now I'm not going to see him for another 30 days. That was 60 days, and a lot can happen in that time. And where I think that relates to this online world and digital and really securing our influence with people and like owning some real estate in their brain as being top of mind or having being known as somebody that they would go to if and when they need you. There's so much competition in the space right now, and guys like you and I are out there telling everybody create content. You've got to be a content creator, which in a lot of ways we're creating competition for ourselves. But the reality is we got to create content because there's so much noise, there's so much competition, there's so many opportunities for people to get content that we can easily be forgotten. And that's just consistency. That's not even diving into the strategy of the type of content you create.
Well, and let's face it, right? The majority of the people, no matter what, who start down this journey are going to quit probably after 30 or 60 days. What do they say? The average blog lasts about 30 days, right? And when
Yeah.
people, so most people are going to quit. That's just the fact, right? And I think if you really look at the people that have been very successful on social, on LinkedIn, they didn't become successful overnight. If you really go back and rewind and look at their history, they were consistent for quite a while before they really even got that hockey stick traction and growth on the whole thing. So
right.
it's not, I don't know. It's just, it's an essential part of the strategy is to be consistent, persevere, for lack of a better word. And, but yeah, persevere, but be consistent. So, it doesn't mean do something for a month and then drop out for a month and then come back for a month. It's like you said,
Right.
the consistency plus the perseverance, plus the constantly working to improve the quality of what you're doing. And I think you do that by understanding your audience better, and you understand your audience better by being more consistent. So it all kind of goes around.
It's all
Yeah,
circular, isn't
it all circles. But
it?
none of that's going to happen, right? The flywheel
Yeah.
stops immediately as soon as you quit.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that along those lines, to extend it, it's the consistency with, for me, it's two key tactics, action steps, and then of course there's strategy behind it. But it's easy for us to think about we want to publish, right? We need to publish our content. I'd say open our digital mouth, share with the world, and there's a whole part we can talk about there with strategy. Your content's not about you; it's about your audience and all that. But I think it's equally, if not more important, is consistently commenting on other people's posts. And this is where, I'm a big believer in that give and it shall be given. If you want comments on your post, you need to go give comments on lots of posts. And I don't know, I don't have a perfect ratio, but it's not like you go comment on one or two people and all of a sudden those one or two people start commenting on yours. It's consistency with this activity. And what happens is you start to learn your audience, you start to learn your tribe, your community, whichever term you want to use. And what I find is the more I go comment on other people on their post or posts that they're engaging with, because we know not very many people post, but the more that we comment on other people's posts and more people see in us comment, well, there's just that many more opportunities for somebody to click on our name and go to our page and see our post. And I believe there's something that's, there's no quantifiable data point here, but when other people see that you're commenting on other people's posts, I find like they're more likely to comment on my post because it's like you've demonstrated that you're digitally conversational. You chat with people, you're going to show up. And I think one of the biggest fears for people is I'm going to post and no one's going to comment, like you addressed. But the other one is I'm going to comment and no one's going to reply. And if we're demonstrating that we comment, we reply to people's comments on our post, it gives people that comfort to go, this is safe. I'm going to comment, and I'm pretty sure that Brandon's going to comment back. And for me, it's guaranteed. Anybody comments on my post, I don't want them to feel like it's a one-sided conversation. I'm there. I'm commenting. I don't want people to feel like they spoke in the wind.
Well, yeah, and I think it's a really good point, right? So first of all, you could look at that a couple of different ways. Are you paying it forward, right? If you're expecting somebody to respond to you, then it can be expected that you're going to respond to them. But the fact is that a conversation is a two-way communication, right? And whether that's a one-on-one communication or a combination with your audience or your group, it's got to go back and forth. So I think just inherently, it's a very, very good best practice to be thinking about not only what you're presenting, but what you're providing back to somebody. And I also think too that every now and then it's fine to make a comment that says great post or yeah, I agree. And that's the end of it. I mean, that's fine every once in a while, but that can't be that's not, if we were having a conversation and all you ever said back to me, Brandon, was I agree or thank you or good point, right? That wouldn't be much of a conversation. So
good point.
Good point, right? So and that's one of the things I've really worked on from the beginning is trying to be very thoughtful on the comments that I'm making, almost as if I was writing something, I was writing it for myself. It's like, what is it that I would want to reply? And that's been actually, I would say that's helped develop my network even more than my post. My commenting has been more valuable to me in my network so far than the posts that I've written to my network. Don't know why. It just is the way that it's worked out, but it really allows you to kind of, again, take that two-way street on the whole thing. And so, yes, going back to your consistency, a consistent strategy would be not only making your own posts, but also commenting meaningful comments on other people's posts. Now, of course, everyone's probably going, I could spend my whole day doing this. And yeah, you could. So, and that's something I'm working on, and we could probably do another session on this, is how do you do time management with this so that you manage your time on this so it doesn't become a full-time job. And I don't have all the answers, but I feel like I'm making progress on it because, fortunately I can't do this all day. It would be kind of fun to do it all day, but I can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think obviously just, Brian, thank you for that. And Butch, thanks for those comments as well. Absolutely correct. I agree with you guys on that of continuing the conversation and growing your network. But and this is kind of a shameless plug on Funnel Amplified, but my cadence is every morning the first thing I do with a cup of coffee is I use Funnel Amplified, and it tells me based on rules and people and lists that I created, it tells me who I should go engage with today. And that doesn't mean waiting for them to come comment on my post, it means I go to their most recent post activity and look and see what they're doing and join the conversation by commenting. And it's an hour to an hour and a half a day at most for me that I'm actively doing that in the morning, very focused, but it's always for a purpose. These are all people that I'm strategically want to build deeper rapport with. I want to be top of mind. I want them to see me. And the outcome tends to be that they start seeing more of my post. They end up commenting on my post, or they send me an instant message, or I send them a message that says, gosh, we keep commenting on these things. Would it be worthwhile to get on a call or a Zoom and talk deeper? And it can usually escalate to that conversation. Now, for me, I don't call this social selling. That's why I hate the term social selling, because at this point, I'm not selling. I'm just building rapport in order to maybe earn the opportunity to sell somewhere down the road. But I think that is, I think the unknown, Tom, of, oh, I could do this all day, or how long would it take me? I think that's one of the big fear points for people to even get started. And one more comment, and then I'll shut up, is, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, well, Brandon, how do you go about commenting? Like, I'm really trying hard to log into LinkedIn 3 or 4 times a day and just kind of go through my news feed and look for key people. I'm like, well, that's great. You can do that, but there's a much more efficient way. Like, know the people that you want to engage with. Don't just wait and see if maybe perhaps somehow LinkedIn put them in your news feed. Right? Go straight to their most recent post. You can go to their profile, click on post activity, and go straight and see. Of course, you could use a tool like Funnel Amplified that'll automate that for you, but that's another conversation. But this doesn't have to be, as Tom said, this isn't a all-day thing. However, when people have sales reps that sit on the phone and pound cold calls all day long and leave messages after message after message, and that's deemed good activity because it seems productive, you know what? Going and commenting on posts and getting in front of your ideal customers and building rapport digitally, that is very productive activity.
Yeah, no. And I mean, think about how many Zoom meetings you have during the day or during a week that last an hour. They're not all that useful. They're not all that productive, right? And so you look at that and go, man, that wasn't the best use of an hour or a half hour or whatever the case may be. I found that the hour or the hour and a half that you spend on commenting is and even contributing is way more valuable time spent. So its impact, I guess, is much better than a lot of the Zoom sort of meetings that I can have during a day or whatever. And as a result, I've really tried to say, how do I optimize even my meetings that I have during the day to be more impactful and to get more out of them? But in the same way that you schedule meetings with somebody, you don't just show up and, how often nowadays you just call somebody out of the blue? You don't usually. Almost everything you do is scheduled. Well, because that's a system, right? You want to have a system in place so you have some predictability. You can manage your time. That wasn't the case 20 years ago, by the way. If you were
right
to, you just pick up the phone and call somebody. You wouldn't have a appointment to call them. You just hope they picked up, and if they did, so my point of all of that is that the key to making this work and having the consistency is having the systems, like you just talked about, and structure in place to doing this, so that it doesn't become an all-encompassing, disruptive process,
right
but it just becomes something that you factor into your schedule, and that is a appointment in the same way that you would have an appointment for a phone call. That is going to hopefully be a very valuable hour or hour and a half or whatever your timeline is, or a couple half-hour blocks or whatever. That is a very valuable appointment that you have every day to work with your audience and your people. So again, we've talked about mindset before, right? There's a lot of mindset things that really help make that consistency work. But if you don't get that right mindset in, you're likely going to quit after a period of time.
Yeah, and I think it's mindset, but then it's also the strategy side, and knowing, what's the goal, what's the end, right? Plan with the end in mind.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think that's where so many people just get stuck. It's like, oh, I tried LinkedIn, it didn't work. Okay, well, um, I tried the phone, it didn't work. Well, what do you mean the phone didn't work? It's like, no, I picked it up and there was no one on the line. Well, did you dial a number? Oh, I didn't know I had to dial a number. Like there's so many components that we just take as second nature for things like making a phone call or sending an email now. And there's components of social media that we could waste a lot of time just by not having a strategy involved.
Mhm.
Like if I want to get somebody's attention, I want to get on their radar, maybe I go in 2 or 3 times a week and look at their post activity and start joining those conversations by commenting and responding to what somebody said or saying something that I think is valuable to add to the conversation. And before anybody says, "Yeah, but I just don't know what to say," well, then figure it out, right? Learn it.
Mhm.
And it's really not, we can make social media this big thing, as bigger thing than it as is, because if you just think about, I'm sitting outside right over here, there's a group of people, it's like they're having lunch, there's 4 people over there. If I wanted to join the conversation and I walked over there and just said, "Hey, I'm Brandon and I do this for a living, this is what I do, and anybody want 15 minutes and we can learn more," and we're gonna like go, "Dude, get out of here, you ruined our lunch."
Hey, you get,
But if
you
I
get,
walk over and I just say something like, "Oh man, that sandwich looks really good. Where'd you get it?" And just kind of enter the conversation cordially, politely, whatever that may be, and all of a sudden you're part of the group, and the next time, maybe tomorrow or the next day, or a couple of days later, I come out here and they're here again, and I walk out and they go, "Hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you for a while." It's like that's how we build network, how we meet people, how we expand our influence, whatever terms you want to use. Um, it's no different on LinkedIn.
no, no,
And we got to stop freaking ourselves out over what do I
no,
say? Just
no.
close your eyes. Imagine they verbalized that instead of wrote it and they're sitting across from you. What would you say? "Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more." Or, "Oh, that reminds me of this one time that I was in a situation where," or, "Oh, I spoke, you know what? Tom and I were just talking about that. Tom would want to see this. Let me tag Tom and say, Tom, this is kind of like what we talked about the other day." Like anything like that. It's natural, it's appropriate, it's value adding, and most importantly, it introduces us to a new audience of people. As long as we're going to the right profiles strategically, it's very effective.
So I think the moral of the story from what we've kind of been hitting on today is, first of all, have a strategy, have a system for implementing that strategy, and do it consistently. Follow your strategy
Mhm.
consistently and follow your system consistently, and it will work, right? It doesn't mean there won't be
Yeah.
days that you'll get ignored and nobody likes you. It will happen. And then there'll be days
Mhm.
it's like, boy, there's more people that like me than maybe I deserve, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all part of and that's real life as well,
Yeah. Well, and I mean, to everybody that's listening, Tom and I were talking. I think it was just yesterday. I'm like, "Man, Tom, I don't know what's going on. My engagement is way down. I don't know if the algorithm reset on me or, um, I made someone mad or whatever. I don't know what happened. Is my content changed? Not really, but maybe. Like, I don't know what happened, but my engagement over a few day period was trailing down. And then so I was like, "Okay, well, what do I do?" I'm like, "You know what? I haven't done a video with captions for a while." And so I had something on my mind and I did the video and I had the captions and I put it up there. And then all of a sudden it seems to be popping back up today.
Yeah.
Um, it's like anything else. Like, if you used to knock on doors and bring donuts and one day you decided you were going to try bagels, or you were going to, bring burgers and fries instead, and all of a sudden more people wanted to talk to you because it was a burger instead of a donut. Well, you kind of go ding, ding, ding. These guys like burgers. When I want their attention, I need to bring burgers instead of donuts. Like, it's the same thing with the type of content that we create.
Mhm. Yeah, and you'll learn by watching it and seeing it and all of that. But even then, there's always still anomalies. It's like it's the
Yeah,
algorithm has a mind of its own, and that's fine.
totally.
You can't control
Yeah,
that. But yeah, strategy, system, consistency.
yeah. I love the term strategy and I love the term systems, and I feel like they're two words that just scare the crap out of us also. Because they seem like there's so much work that needs to be involved. But you know what? If we want to use our time well and be efficient and be productive, then we have to have a strategy and we have to have a system. And I would even argue that we all have systems. When you wake up in the morning, you have a routine. That's a system.
Hmm.
The question is, were you intentional about that routine? Was there a
Hmm.
strategy, or did it just happen to come about?
Hmm.
Some people get up and they make their coffee and they, do whatever. Other people get up and they drop on the ground and they do 10 push-ups or something just to get their blood flowing. Or do you just get up and go to the restroom and brush your teeth and then kind of do whatever you feel like doing? Either way, those are systems. But if you don't have a strategy, the system just isn't as productive. And you can come to the conclusion of going, well, you know what? Waking up every morning just is a waste of time. It doesn't work.
Well, I'll add one more S to it. Just keep it simple, right? Simple strategy,
Yeah.
simple system. Keep monitor. Don't overthink it, and again, make it consistent. So same concept. But yeah, you're exactly right. We do it all the time in real life. It's just applying the same thing into
Yeah.
the social world.
Yeah. Well, you are a systems thinker for sure.
Yeah.
So, well, Tom, I think we should wrap it up. You wanna close this out today? Any final thoughts on consistency?
No, I think just what we said, right? Is consistency is two-way. I think your point about the commenting is great. So consistency is consistency on providing content and providing new information, as well as consistency
Yeah.
on replying and commenting on others and help and building that conversation. Strategy and systems and keeping it simple. And those are the simple takeaways for today.
Oh, perfect. All right. Well, everybody, thanks again for joining Tom and I on the Digital Influence Show. And any other topics that you are finding important or valuable you want to learn about, plop them in the comments or message Tom or message I and let us know. But our goal with this is, and you guys know, Tom's got his book, The Revenue Zone, and the Revenue Zone process and Lead Smart. I'm a co-founder of Funnel Amplified and our technology that is a system. Um, but beyond all that, Tom and I want to raise awareness with people on what are these daily things these daily activities that any of us can do that's going to raise our influence, help us going to grow a community, meet more people, network better, and in the end of it, earn more meetings or accomplish our goals. And I think social media now more than ever is that exclamation point to the statement. It's not what you know, but it's who you know. And with social media, we have the opportunity to know a lot more people and know a lot of people that we never would have met without social media because they just live too far away. They're in different parts of the world. They're in a different industry. We never would have crossed paths, but now we can cross paths with them 20 times a day in social media. And I think that's worth, helping
Yeah,
people learn how to
and
do
and
and
I'll
make a
one
big
last
difference
thing
in their
on that
lives.
is I've met a lot of people in my LinkedIn journey so far that I'm not going to ever do business with likely. I mean, maybe there could be something or there we may help them or whatever. But if I were in their area, I would say, "Hey, I'm going to be in such and such an area," and I would look them up and I would meet them. Right? It's like I feel
Yeah.
like you meet some really great people that you just want to know, and you can build a
Yeah.
relationship online that by the time you did see them in person, it's like your long lost friends. And it's
Yeah.
so I think there's just a lot of great stuff that comes out of it that isn't just an always business, and you just have
Yeah.
more people that are in your circle of friends and influence. So
Yeah. Love the
all right,
expression that social media relationships will turn a first meeting with somebody into a hug instead of a handshake.
There you go. Sounds like another
Yeah,
T-shirt for you. Hugs, not handshakes.
yeah, sounds good.
Shush. All right. Have a good day,
That'll work.
everybody.